Welcome back to the Broker Power Up podcast, the AIME podcast for strategies, stories, and insights to help you close more loans. I'm Tommy Golightly, joined by Jonathan Haddad.
Yes, sir. I'm back at it. Another week, another
Another
fortune.
week, another fortune, episode 13. We have a lot to get into today. We have the Broker Buzz, where we dive into the top posts of the week from the Brokers Are Best Facebook group and discuss what's trending, what's working, and what you need to know. And then we're going to go into sales pitch, where John helps us become better salespeople. And then we'll wrap things up with story time with John. So let's get started with our fortune. This week, I did check. I can see it sticking out. So there is a fortune this week. That was really fun last week, though.
That was cool.
All right. This week's fortune, as I make a mess on my desk. Appreciate nature. It's a source of solace and inspiration. So I
feel like-
appreciated nature last weekend. I went camping.
Where'd you go?
Shenandoah Valley National State Park in Virginia. It was gorgeous. We had an immaculate thing happen in that we were predicting rain all weekend. It was just the forecast was just rain, thunderstorms all weekend, and got a little bit of rain Friday night, no big deal. And then Saturday, the rain held off till 5:30, so we got all our hiking in, saw some gorgeous views, and then we got to watch. We actually watched the rain roll in through the valley, like you could see the sheet of rain in the sky. It was wild.
I'm looking at some pictures here. Is this really it? Can you pull that up? Here, I'll do a little screen share here.
Yeah,
my friend. That is pretty cool.
It's gorgeous. I wish I knew. I could have brought some of my pictures on here. But
is this it?
Let's see. Looks like it.
This is absolutely stunning.
It was gorgeous, and I've been going through a lot of stress recently, but it was just as soon as I got there, I rolled in pretty late Friday night, but then Saturday during the day, we were out. Obviously, we were outside all day. We were camping, but just we went on this hike about 6 miles, and every half mile or so, there was just a vantage point that you could go and look and just see this amazing valley, and it was just such a beautiful day. And then we got all our cooking in, so we even got dinner in before the rain came, and then we all huddled under a little tent, pop-up tent over the picnic table, and just played board games until through the thunderstorm. So it was just like pouring rain was coming in sideways, and we're just yelling at each other about a board game.
It was tell me you had a blast.
Oh, it was.
Is that a core memory for you?
Absolutely.
That's not leaving, huh?
No, it was with 5 other really good friends, who all are just in very interesting places in their life. So just the conversations and stuff we had were just very impactful and very. I'll remember that trip for a long time.
Thank you for sharing that, man. I love that. I love that. That's the fortune for today. And if you don't mind, last one, board game wise, what were we playing?
Blanking on the name, but it was a great party game that basically you had it's a this or that, and then so my one that I remember was my friend on my team did Dune, and it was sci-fi and fantasy. So you have to then he sets a range of where he thinks we will put Dune on sci-fi or fantasy.
Okay, got it.
And so we were like, oh, obviously it's sci-fi. And so we put it pretty far towards sci-fi, like 90%. And then he put it straight in the middle that it was 50-50 fantasy and sci-fi. And I was like, my guy, Dune is sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then in our group chat, he is still fighting to this day that it is both sci-fi and fantasy.
You know what? So for those that don't know, if you haven't seen the movie Dune, there's 2 now?
2 or 3.
2 or 3 now, but just to give you guys an idea of Dune, okay? American epic space opera film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's how it starts.
Space opera.
It is the first of a 2-part adaptation of the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert, set in the distant future. So I'm sorry, I think your friend was unfortunately off on that one, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's definitely sci-fi.
Yeah, and he posted some Reddit threads, and we were like, this has like 11 interactions. You have a like mind with one person.
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
11 people in this world that agree with you.
there are dozens of us.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course, of course. So, but let's dive into the broker buzz with our first question this week. John, how common is it for DSCR lenders to report to personal credit?
Yeah, so DSCR loans, debt service credit ratio. What this means for those that don't know out there is you buy a home, so it's an investment property per se, and an appraisal is done on the home, and they do a appraisal form. There's a specific form called a 1007. The appraiser, on top of appraising the value of this home, also comes back and says, here's the market rents. So here's what this home would potentially rent for in this specific market. So that's the 1007. So with this type of loan, you put a certain down payment, and as long as the monthly payment that you're going to be given, so your interest that you're paying, your principal, your taxes, your insurance, your homeowner's insurance, if there is any, if that payment is less than the market rents, that means that the rent should offset this payment. And therefore, you're able to get a loan called a DSCR loan. That is how the loan works. Is based strictly off of the market rents and your down payment, and there's a couple other nuances in between. These loans are set up by massive investors across the country. So what happens is you get this group that says, hey, we're interested in doing it. So we'll throw $1 billion at this. And once you fill up $1 billion worth of business, we don't want to do this product. So that's just how a lot of these work, but a lot of investors will come out. So DSCR loans are going to differ from lender to lender. Why? They're all finding their own investors. Each of them are looking for different investors that can do unique things. So, for example, you see like UWM as an example, they have like an orange product, a pink product, a yellow. They have all these different products because it's just investors saying, hey, we have a different appetite for these kinds of loans. So with all the lenders that do DSCR, the investors are the ones that will set the rules and parameters, and we have no choice but to follow them, which means the consumer also has no choice but to follow them. So in that situation, it's really important to make sure you read the guidelines. The answer is yes, you can have situations to where it's not put on your credit report. There are companies out there where, hey, they won't put it on your credit report unless you have a late. If you have a late, they're going to add it to your credit report. And then there's some where you might not qualify to not have it on your credit report, and they want you to tie your personal interest to it. Why do people not want it on their credit report? It's a lot of it is just risk tolerance. So, for example, if you're able to keep it in a business or a business name, God forbid, in the event that you file bankruptcy, you don't file a personal bankruptcy. So, personal bankruptcy is Jonathon Haddad owes money for not paying on a mortgage or whatever the case might be. If that's the case, then it's me that deals with the bankruptcy personally. That's called a Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. If it's in the business, which is why people are always asking about DSCR, not on the credit report through the business, if anything happens, generally speaking, it's a Chapter 11, but instead of the bankruptcy impacting Jonathon Haddad personally, it impacts the business that Jonathon Haddad might be running. So that's why people ask. That's why people are always kind of trying to figure it out from that perspective. But it is common. You just have to make sure you read the guidelines. It will pop up on your credit report. There are a lot of situations where they don't. Read the guidelines, understand the matrices, and realize it's not the same one investor for every single product out there. Not how it works with loans that are like DSCR.
Awesome.
How was that?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I got some extensive knowledge on DSCR, my friend.
It's apparent.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to number 2. Can you be the listing agent, buying agent, and MLO on the same transaction?
I swear to God, we have to start getting an attorney on some of these calls, Tommy, for like attorney-client, just to protect me. Tommy's like, what do you think of the CFPB and their new... No, so here's the reality of this. This is all state-specific and product-specific. So certain products don't allow it, like some FHA loans won't let you represent on both sides. Some states won't let you represent all three of those situations. So it's really important you understand your state guidelines. We highly recommend in these situations you do reach out to a real estate attorney, because even if, let's just say that your state does allow it. So Michigan, for example, dual agency is allowed in certain situations on conventional loans. You have to disclose. There's forms in certain states and most states called an ABA, an affiliated business arrangement or agreement. And basically it's saying, hey, I'm making money on both sides of this. So you want a CYA every time. One of the big things for us that we do at my company, mortgage side as well, is like you want to get a letter of opinion if you can from an attorney. Just make sure you're protecting yourself at all costs, because it's not worth it, right? It's not worth it at all, God forbid, if your state doesn't allow it and you just happen not to know. And I love that we're asking in our Facebook group, by the way. I really want it to be that kind of open space. The only thing I would say towards this is I encourage you to make sure that regardless of what our amazing community does say, because we have a lot of high level people that know so much about the law, we're not attorneys, and I'm not an attorney. So I want you to be protected. I want you to make sure you're safe. There are situations, and I believe certain states and certain products that allow what you're asking, but there are also a lot of red tape around there. And you got to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? And that's where an attorney comes into play, assesses the risk for you, and puts you in that spot. And what I would say, one of the areas with attorneys is you got to tell them. Sometimes you got to say, look, I need you to protect the company, not me. And we've had to have that before. So you're literally hiring an attorney to combat against you. And it works. It works really well. So yes, it's there's opportunities there, but we highly recommend you reach out to the appropriate parties to get yourself the best answer.
And so when you do reach out and brokers are best, would you say good advice would be when you're asking questions like this that may concern legalese, to include your state that you're in?
I
Because
would
the
I would
states are
say
very
that too.
different?
Yeah, I would. Great
Because
job,
people can
Tommy.
pop in and be like, "Yeah, this works," but they're in X state and you're in Y state. So,
You're spot
cool,
on, Tommy. That's exactly what you need to be doing.
cool. All right, number 3, what are the pros and cons of using a third-party processor instead of an in-house processor?
So I love this. We use both at my company. We are signed up third party and we have internal. So you know, I used to have a lot of different takes on this before, and the reality is it's been so much easier now with the technology and the things that we're doing to make sure we're constantly being able to stay in front of these files. I am a huge fan of third party processing, a huge fan. And the biggest thing for me, right, from a pro perspective, is if you think about your business first, right? So if I think about just my business side of it, third party processing, that's a fee that is put on line B, as in boy. It's not put on line A, and it's not a fee that's coming from me, right? It's not a fee that's always coming from the mortgage broker. In certain instances, actually most instances, the client is paying that fee once that loan closes, and it's part of the transaction and part of the deal. So from a business side of things, you're getting processing, you're able to scale your business, you're able to grow by having a third-party processing company, because it's all based off the loans that are closing and actually getting to the finish line. But in turn, you're not having to sit there and jump on every single file, every single loan, and have to stress and worry about getting it to close while you're trying to grow and scale your business and add an additional, a lot of cost to all of it. So I think there's a lot of pros to third-party processing. There's a bunch of them signed up here with AIME now. We've opened the door for third-party processing, which we'd never had before, and that's been a big win. Internally, I think one of the big areas internally, there are some pros to that as well. On the pro side of having it internally is you have a lot more control of that process and what it looks like, and it's your process, but you have to build it. From a con perspective, it's exactly that. You are the one that is having to facilitate and build the process the way that you want. And if you don't have a dedicated processing manager, you are going to be in a tough situation if loans don't go the way you want them to go, especially if your company's scaling and you're adding more and more loan officers. They need a processing manager to make sure that the loans are being processed, they are moving in the right direction, you are on top of them, and things aren't being missed. So, yes, you get a little more autonomy with it. Yes, you can do it the way you want to do it. And third-party processing is also a huge benefit as well. So I think there's a lot of upside. What I do know is this: you can't have nothing. You cannot sit there and tell me that I don't need processing, or I don't. If you want to scale, if you want to grow your business, you're going to need processing. Now, if you're good, right, and you're 2, 3, 4, 5 loans a month, and you got it handled, more power to you. I love you. Go run your business. Keep yourself efficient. Keep your dollars tight. Take care of your business and keep running. But if you're looking to scale and you're bringing on LOs and they want help and you want to give them help, you got to make sure you're looking into third-party processing or bringing it in-house.
Absolutely. Well, if you want your questions answered on Broker Power Up, when you're in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group, use hashtag Broker Power Up question, and then we will skim and find those and get your question answered. So, if you're not in the Brokers Are Best Facebook group, how do you do that? You become an AIME member. How do you become an AIME member? You listen to this next ad and scan the QR code. We'll see you on the other side to help you become better salespeople.
Are you a wholesale mortgage professional? Well, then the very first thing you need is a community to help you and your business grow. With AIME membership, your community is right here. Joining our community means never navigating the market alone or operating without a safety net ever again. We are 16,000 members strong of united wholesale professionals. From rookies to top-ranking originators, all dedicated to supporting each other's success so we can grow together. Beyond entry to the best community in the mortgage industry, AIME membership gives you the resources, tools, guidance, discounts, services, and support that help you and your wholesale business grow, thrive, and most importantly, close more loans. AIME membership connects you with leading wholesale lenders and vendors, offering you exclusive access, services, and discounts that save you more money while helping you make more money. Never get stuck on a loan again with our lender escalation program. Grow your network and skills with the wholesale industry's best conferences and networking events. Get the strategies and skills of top originators and industry innovators with AIME's cutting-edge wholesale mortgage education, resources, and content. AIME offers all of this and more, starting at a low price of $19.99 a month. You heard it here first, couple cups of Starbucks coffee. For you to learn more and get started, all you have to do is visit aimegroup.com, AIME group.com /membership. Your community is waiting.
All right, and we're back for some sales pitch training. This was one that I was kind of selfish and asked because I need this advice. And my question is deciding what things you have to do versus the things you are choosing to do.
So I love this. This is such a constant battle for all of us, right? Things that you have to do versus things that you're choosing to do. The obviously the idea for everybody is to get themselves in a situation where they're able to do the things that they love, and it brings them what they need, whether it's monetary or the happiness or joy, whatever the case might be. The truth of the matter is it takes a very long time to get to that place, and many of us won't ever get to that place. And so what you have to do is prioritize your life as often as you can and be accepting of the prioritization. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is this. You have to have a better relationship with discipline. This is the first place I'm going to start. I grew up in a loving household. I did. My mom, my dad, they were loving. Still are to this day. And part of that process for me is my parents were they got pretty strict. They were pretty strict. They were old school mentality. And whether it was religion, whether it was making sure I'm at church, whether it was, always on my case. And I think that's a lot of us that grew up in foreign households that dealt with that as well. But part of that process was me kind of rebelling and me sitting there like, oh, okay, I want freedom. I want this. And I remember turning 16 years old and I got a car and I was saving money and I was working and I was doing all this stuff. And then I'm like, yeah, I can go out. No one can tell me. And then I turn 18 and these things start transpiring. And what happens is you start to feel like freedom is you being able to do what you want. And right now, a lot of people are in that mindset. as I've gone through life, what I've learned is that discipline is true liberation. Discipline is true freedom. My ability to say no to things that I know I shouldn't be doing is true liberation and freedom. My ability to go and make sure I'm eating right is discipline and liberation. Why? Because I know when I eat right and I drink enough water, I feel better the next day. And so choosing something else is going to have to, it goes against what I actually truly believe as real discipline and real freedom, which is freedom to me is discipline. So you got to ask yourself first and foremost, Tommy, what is your relationship with discipline? Is it good or is it bad? That's the first place. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Now it's good. Now from there, it's when I'm waking up and going through my day, I have to understand how to fit in everything that I need from a hierarchy standpoint. You've heard of Maslow's hierarchy?
No.
Okay. So Maslow's hierarchy, here, I'll actually put it on the screen here. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I want to show you this. So there's a ton of science, ton of studying around this specific. Let me go here. Here we go. All right. So what you're looking at right here, basically the idea is that each person needs a mixture of this in their life, whether it's on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever the case might be. So the first one below, air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, right? Making sure that things are happening, just your baseline that you need. The next is safety needs, personal security, employment, resources, health, property, love and belonging, friendship, intimacy, family, respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, freedom, and then the desire to be the most one can be. So what they're saying is after you go through these steps, that final top step is being the best version of you, which pops up a lot as you go through life. Am I doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? Am I really in my purpose? Am I really dialed into what's going to take me to the next level? Once you can understand this, you can start figuring out, okay, what am I actually missing from here? So now when you say what I choose to do versus what I have to do, what you have to do is make sure you get all of these needs in. That's what you have to do.
These are all have to do's.
Yes, these are all. There is the amount of science behind this, and look it up for those that are going to be watching this. Go look it up yourself. Don't take my word for it. You're talking thousands and thousands of hours of studying around human behavior and human patterns. This is what came to life, and this still sticks around to this day. So think about the power of that. So once you understand this, each week I'm truly doing my best to incorporate all of these into my life. I am doing the absolute best that I can in order to do this. The next piece of it is this. One of the things I love to do is when I get the time now, I love playing video games.
Oh, same. Yeah.
Right? I love it, dude. I don't get a lot of time anymore, but I love it. So now how do I make sure I'm not sitting down feeling bad about playing something like that? How do I put myself on timers? How do I make myself more disciplined even to that? How do I embrace and love and go through that process?
I live on timers. My Apple Watch, I constantly have a timer going.
So, and where did you learn that?
I self-taught myself that just because it's a physical reminder that I found. And I switched to it from using like just the iPhone reminders app, right? Like I would use that all the time, but then it became too time consuming because it was literally just the next thing I was doing or until the next thing I have to do or like a meeting or something. I just keep a timer going so that I can constantly see how much time I have to evaluate what I can get done before the next thing.
One, if anybody can do that, y'all, it is a superpower. I'm serious. It is a superpower to be able to do it. This is part of what keeps you on track, okay? Mm-hmm. But you have to sit down and plan out your weeks, y'all. You have to do it. What do I, choosing to do what I have to do versus what I need to do, or what I want to do, I should say. It is all discipline. That's it. You know what you're supposed to do. I know you all do. There's nothing anybody can tell me to sit there and say, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You do know. If you're a loan officer, if you're a real estate agent, you have to go networking.
Yeah.
We know to do that. We have to show up on time. We have to make sure our presentations are dialed in. We have to make sure we're active when we're on social media. We have to make sure that when we start our days are consistent in the mornings. We have to have routines in the mornings. We have to have routines at night. And I don't have all of these. I'm still working and getting better every single day. The difference is I'm not going to sit here and say I don't know what to do. And we can't allow you, the viewers, those that are listening, to also say that, because you do. Yeah. You know exactly what to do. You just don't know how to structure it and align it and put it into your days. So starts with discipline, change your relationship, understand your needs for the week. What do you feel like you're lacking? Honestly, one of the areas I love to do with this is I go on ChatGPT and I'll tie it to Maslow's hierarchy and I'll walk through my day, or I'll walk through my week. Here's how I'm feeling. Here's what I'm going through. Where do you think this stands on the hierarchy? Sounds like you're missing X, Y, or Z. Oh, cool. Right? That stuff awesome. Is super important. Like you got actually, this is this will be the Mother's Day edition episode.
It is. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day out there. I got to do this. Shout out to Mama Haddad. All right. Out there, Mom, I love you. You are wonderful. Thank you for pouring so much into the kids. Thank you for sacrificing everything that you did. We love you dearly, Mama. So shout out to all the mothers. And then my wife, babe, 3 kids later. You are amazing. Thank you for giving me the opportunities to travel for us and for our family. I love you and all the support that you are constantly giving and throwing my way. Thank you for never allowing me to be lazy. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for pressing me. Thank you for making sure I get out of bed fired up and ready to take on the world. You make this very easy. I love you. So shout out to them.
Shout out to Mother's Day. One of the most important holidays of the year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But with it's funny, an episode or two ago we talked about like structuring and setting up your calendar, and that's exactly kind of what we did when we set up our calendar of all the things that my wife and I have to do during a week. And we at first put everything that we do, right? And then we actually deleted the things that we are choosing to do. It didn't free up that much space, but it freed up a little bit.
It's still something.
Yeah, exactly. But cool. I'm wondering if you are still asking yourself what you have to do and what you're choosing to do. I know what you have to do towards the end of October. You have to go to Fuse.
Dude, you brought that.
So we are going to Fuse. We'll see you there. Haven't signed up to be known when the tickets are coming out, which could be soon. Make sure you scan this QR code in the ad, and we'll see you on the other side for Storytime.
Fuse is just around the corner, believe it or not, another year down. And we are excited for the largest event of the entire wholesale mortgage industry. Fuse National Conference 2025 is taking its show on the road. Now emanating from Nashville, Tennessee, from October 23rd through the 25th. This event is all about sales, sales, sales. Don't miss the chance to join us in Music City for 3 days full of the most cutting-edge content we've ever produced, featuring the industry's top minds, leaders, and innovators. Access the newest tools and resources from wholesale leading lenders and vendors. Take part in our acclaimed workshop summits for free. Catch wholesale's rising stars in their very own breakout sessions. And of course, take part in the best and, quite frankly, the most fun networking opportunities you'll find in the wholesale channel. Join us to grow your network, your skill set, and your business at what will no doubt be the greatest Fuse conference yet. Go to fuse.aimgroup.com to sign up and receive updates when tickets go on sale. Secure your hotel room and get your Fuse tickets for free. That's a $600 value for the prices as low as $199 when you sign up for an AIME annual membership. Don't miss your chance to be there when wholesale history is made at Fuse 2025. I can't wait to see you there. All right. We're back. We're live. Tommy left me here all alone to tell y'all a story.
I'm here.
Oh, there he is in the background. By the way, Tommy is it's cool to watch him tie that last one together. His sales skills are improving every single week, and that was a fun one. I was watching his head turn, and I said, okay, I think he's going for it. And he went right for it.
I'm getting sales training every week. So
Yes, sir, you are. You're applying, my friend. That is what makes you so unique is you apply almost instantly. So today's story is about prioritizing. I am a believer with loan officers. Just one of the areas is that's big for me is closings for the week, right? Like, so I always like to start my day. Okay, what's the lock date? What's happening? How close is there to a contract date being blown? Do I have anything going on from that perspective? Does everything look good? Just to make sure I'm on top of it. Next thing I'm looking at pretty much right away is fires. Any crazy fires, emails, phone calls, things I have to get in front of immediately. The third one is active pre-approvals or just kind of networking, right? How can I keep my pre-approvals, checking in on them, making sure I'm networking? That's going to be the part of it. And the last one is daily outbounds to past clients, referral partners, things of that nature. So that's how I like to prioritize it from the LO side of things. And I've been doing it for a really long time. But the power of prioritizing and sticking to it go a really long way. When you build the framework out, you cannot shy away from it. You have to live by the framework that you build out. It is such a important piece of the process. And here's a story I want to explain how in certain cases when it really matters most. I'm talking life and death. When it matters most, there's a story from history about Eisenhower, and it was on D-Day. And leading up to D-Day, and D-Day, for those that don't know, is the Allied invasion of Normandy. That obviously back in the 40s during the war, and it was about liberating Europe from Nazi control. And there were going to be a huge process as part of this, obviously. Okay, there were so many moving parts. It was overwhelming, to say the least. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of troops, multiple different nations having to connect together. By the way, don't think communication was like it was today. It wasn't. And so they had to figure out, like, how are we going to prioritize all this? What are we going to do? So Eisenhower said, okay, this is the process. These are the steps. This is it. He broke it down into 4 quadrants, and these are the 4 quadrants they lived by. Must be done today. Important but not urgent. Delegate to others. Ignore entirely. That's it. He kept his mind focused on what moved the mission forward, finalizing the weather decision, coordinating air and sea assault timing, ensuring the first wave had supply and backup. He wasn't worried about every moving piece. He prioritized the big picture. And he broke it down that simply, and every day that's how they made decisions. And he never veered away from the framework that he had. It is the single most successful assault in the world. And that was life or death. That was life or death. Yet, when all the onions, all the layers are peeled back, and that's all you're left with, you have to make it easier for yourself to understand the goal that's in front of you, no matter how difficult it might be. Now, I don't know about you, but I am fortunate and glad and so grateful for those that had made the sacrifices, because we don't have to deal with stuff like that. A lot of us don't. And so I think a lot about prioritizing, and I think a lot about the frameworks that we set in front of us. And then I think about all the times we veer away from the frameworks that we set. How much do you care about protecting your mind, about protecting your future? How much do you care about it? If you do, you won't veer away. You'll build the process and you'll stick to it. And I know people are going to say, John, I don't know the process. Come on. I'm sure you've heard thousands of different analogies on delegating. You've been to conferences where they break down how they start their day, how they do their day. You've been on YouTube. You got ChatGPT now. You got Google. Pick your framework and stick to it. Fortunately for us, it's not life or death because there's people out there that are sacrificing themselves for all of us. Yet, all of them, when the stakes were the highest possible, were able to stick to that framework of prioritizing. So, how are you going to prioritize? How are you going to stick to it? How are you going to be the best version of you? How are you going to do the things you know you need to do every single day? Get yourself the framework, stick to it, and don't veer away, my friends. That is my story.
Perspective came to mind.
Yes, sir.
After that, absolutely. It certainly puts what most of us deal with on a day to day, make it look like little ant work trying to go get the food, bring it back to the colony or whatever. But yeah, I think that story tied in great.
Thanks, man. Cool. Hit home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Broker Power Up podcast. If you found today's tips helpful, do us a favor. Hit the like button to let us know you enjoyed it, which helps even more people see this content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell to get notified every time we drop new content, and share this video with a fellow broker who could use a power up. Remember to lead by example, to lift each other up, to grow together, and most importantly, close more loans. So until next time, keep powering up.